What's going on, everyone? This is Jordan with Conquer Trading and Investing. We're getting ready right now for our live stream of the New York session. Ooh, it looks like we have the US dollar coming back and testing the breakout here today. Interesting level to be at. Welcome, everyone who's joining us this morning. Welcome, anyone joining us on the replay. Hope everyone's doing well. We're about to get started and take a look at the markets. Good morning, everyone. What is going on? Let's start off. Let's start off with the DXY, since we have some interesting things going on. And simply, this resistance so far overhead up here, so far is holding, and you can see prices come all the way back. And right now we're testing the breakout over here of this channel. So this New York session here is pretty important. We're going to see if we get back into the channel, come back and get below this important number over here. It's 97.33. Or if we hold and start trading up. All right, really important. Everything continues to develop, and we need to really keep watching. As far as what's on the calendar, there was some light news that the pound is kind of trading off of well today. That was the average earnings up over in the UK. Pound is doing well on that. Same thing with the euro. The German economic sentiment was also well above. This means that if businesses have a good outlook, they expect that the economy will continue to perform well. And then looking forward on the calendar, obviously tomorrow, the Bank of Canada rate statement, they're expected to keep rates unchanged. That will be tomorrow at 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern time. But then followed by the press conference, we're going to get a little bit of insight into what they expect will happen next. All right. Great. Thank you, Martine. Great to see everybody. It's our first full day back here. And I mean, here we are again, as the markets always seem to have us at a really important level, but this is an important level. Why? Let's just take a step back real quick. You can see here we have this trend line of this bull flag, and we seem to have broken out, came into this resistance, and now coming back and testing it. If we hold over here, all right, if we hold over here, it's a good sign that the dollar strength we've seen might continue. But then again, the reason why this session in particular is so important, we're going to find out whether or not we trade back into this flag pattern. And if we do trade back into the channel over here, at that point, there's a good chance that dollar weakness is going to persist. So pretty important area over here. You can see over here, this neckline over here, if you're looking at this possible head and shoulders that we traded right up into it, a little bit above it. We're right at it right now on the dollar. We still have a lot of work to do to get some clarity. I think it's going to be provided before the close today in London. So let's find out what else is going on. Let's check out the British pound. Now, I really liked this trade yesterday, and I looked at it in Asia, and I mindfully did not send down an update to you all on Telegram through TradingView. And the reason for that was because I was not interested in taking it myself, because I did have an open Australian dollar, Japanese yen that was stopped out overnight. I do have an open US dollar, Canadian dollar. And aside from that, I was managing some open Euro US dollar positions. I didn't want to take on another trade. And here you have the trend line over here, prices trading off of it. We have some important numbers though, the PMI numbers later in the week out of the UK. And I think you're going to have to get those numbers out of the way before you even have the possibility of taking out this resistance over here. If we do are able to get above this resistance over here, that might open up the possibility of taking some long trades over here in this area, which looks like a good area for some long trades. Right now, I wasn't involved in this. Anyone that is holding now onto a good trade. You have this resistance right above you to consider. Thank you, Blair. Thank you. Gold is selling off this morning a little bit, but it also spiked up a little bit last night, overnight during Asia. There was a big move on the yen and gold last night, and I'm not really sure why. Big for that time of day. Now we still have gold right now coming off, and it's trading again neutral in this range that we're just kind of looking for it to continue to consolidate, and not much to report or to get involved with yet over there. Pound Japanese yen, again, also the pound benefit this morning. We have overhead resistance over here. Look above this though. Just look above this resistance here, and you can see this open area over here. So that's where things get interesting. That's where I will be looking to get involved and try to get a piece of it if we're able to get above that resistance, and then see what develops over there. Alternatively, we're still just keep following our trend line, and as long as these trend lines hold on the pound US dollar, pound Japanese yen, um, structurally we're pretty good. Once this breaks, we get concerned. Uh, Below here, I think we're going down to here, and then below down here, we're in some trouble. All right. Canadian dollar, Japanese yen. Again, you have some big numbers coming. Big high impact news event. Rate decision coming out tomorrow. I would stand aside on getting involved in any new Canadian dollar trades. I'm going to look at the U.S. dollar, Canadian dollar in a moment with you, the trade that I'm in, to let you know if I'm getting out before the event or not. Pound, Australian dollar. Just taking a step back here. I'm going to leave this in here just for educational purposes, the head and shoulders here. The only way that I will take it off is if we come back above the right shoulder. Right now, I think this neckline is still in play. We're coming up into some resistance right now, a little bit higher than we are right now. Just keep watching that, but that's not in play at all right now. U.S. dollar, Japanese yen. I was looking at this yesterday, and if you drop down to a weekly chart here, you could see this trend line going back. This is 5 years now. So pretty important level. If the dollar does break out over here, and today the dollar is looking like obviously that she's headed back down. Well, it's testing. We don't know what's going to happen. Um, if the dollar does make a break to the upside over here, it's interesting to look over to the U.S. dollar, Japanese yen. Then at that point, as this trend line over here, let me make this pretty dark because that is a 5-year trend line. A break above there, I'm interested for sure to see what develops above there. So I'll be watching that. I'll be watching. Obviously, I'm watching the dollar index closely. Want to see what it does this session. If we start breaking out to the upside over here, though, I definitely want to be. I'm interested in the U.S. dollar, Japanese yen, and to see if we also take a break above this trend line over here. Euro, Japanese yen. I love our trend lines. I love our support and resistance. You can see overnight we touched the lower support. We're coming off of it now, and it just looks good and healthy. This looks really good and healthy. You can see during London, price came all the way down off the support and then strongly reversed, taking out the high of Asia. That's where we are right now. This looks pretty solid. You have a little bit of a bid under the euro today as well. So that looks good, but nothing that's so inviting. Nothing so inviting that I say, hey, listen, I want to stop what I'm doing and get involved right now. Australian dollar, US dollar. as this is pretty interesting because you've come over here. Some people had stops down here, sure of it. You've taken them out. You're reversing upwards right now. This is not support at the top of this blue box. This is just like a buy zone. So let me not confuse anyone. So interesting. And this is kind of, I would say at this point, although because the breakout continues to hold over here, definitely have a very, very positive bullish bias to it. But it's definitely also definitely a dollar story here. Um, Above this resistance over here, right? Above this resistance over here, and if the dollar falls back down into this channel, that looks pretty good. That looks pretty good. And as far as, picking your setups today, you know, if you're getting involved in a commodity currency, we'll look at the New Zealand dollar, US dollar in a second also. But being you have a rate decision out of Canada tomorrow, but not looking to take a new trade there, you might want to lean over towards the Australian dollar, US dollar. We do have the euro making its move today, though. This is just consolidating a little lower again off of the support over here. Um, both continue to look good. I do like the Australian dollar better. Uh, I don't know why I have this head and shoulders here. All right. So this important support over here, and this is an area of support between these two over here. I think this is between actually 1064, call it. This should be a blue box, and then 1084. 1081. This is a blue box of area of support. We're holding above it, good sign, but we're coming in again as we are entering towards the possible fall. I mean, before as we're looking at this resistance support now, broken resistance, now support. As we're looking at the possibility of this holding over here, the euro also at the same time is also at an area of that light resistance of the support. This was neckline support. When it broke over here, now it's seeing if it holds as resistance. I'm not sure one way or another, nor do I drew this in because someone will kind of look at it. I was not looking at this as a head and shoulders. I was drawing this in to watch what happens. I'm focused in over here to get a better read. And this session, I think, is going to provide us some good guidance to what happens because we're going to see in about a half hour, right? About 15 minutes, 20 minutes into the US equity open, whether or not we resume this trend downwards or whether or not this area holds over here. It's a good, safe area that we're in today because we're getting some clarity and it's a lot easier than trading. If we just, the breakout over here, if price just keeps moving against you, takes a look at here, and then even if it continues to break out over here, it's very difficult to trade when you get this type of clarity where you come into the resistance and now we're testing this broken resistance, see if it holds a support. It's a lot easier to trade if it holds a support and then get long dollars if it does. Or if we come back into this range over here today, then we know, okay, it looks like, this pattern is going to continue for a little bit. Good to see everybody in here from all over the world, different times of the day. I know, uh, definitely got a solid group in here, and I'm grateful for all of you. Uh, I'm gonna keep going here because we still have a lot more pairs to look at. This is definitely a set of waves coming into the market today, which often happens on Tuesdays. But we got a nice set coming in. Again, I do like that analogy of a surfer waiting for his set of waves, and they're not always there. And when they come in groups. That's what I'm seeing happening right now. There is opportunity developing today. I'm just trying to find out myself where the best opportunity is. US dollar, Canadian dollar, it seems, is continues to hold this. Now, what I noticed right away at looking at this, two things. When the US dollar was showing that strength, the Canadian dollar kind of held its own. And then overnight, when the US dollar showed some weakness, you saw that definitely in the euro. Uh, the Canadian dollar also held. It's holding both ways. Price is really just sideways, and it's not reacting one way or another. That seems to me that it's looking forward then to what happens tomorrow. uh, the bank's considered to be on hold, and I don't think they're going to be forecasting any imminent rate cuts. So that should all be supportive of the Canadian dollar. That's the only thing that has me possibly just wanting to respect my stop going into the meeting tomorrow. But you know what? That's going to be more reliant upon what happens with the dollar today during this session. So I'm going to reevaluate this before we get off today, and I'm going to let you know whether or not I'm going to be holding this or just getting out of this trade right now. Um, and again, uh, so I have a feeling, or what I expect the Bank of Canada to be doing is kind of forecasting that they're going to continue to be on hold. They don't have any upcoming rate cuts, which should be, in my mind, supportive of the Canadian dollar. So I'm looking at this as a dollar story right now, and I want to see really during the session if we come back in and if we start making new lows here on the DXY, and the dollar continues to sell off a bit, then I'm more inclined to hold this going in tomorrow. And if not, then I'm going to drop it and just get back to even. I mean, even as far as neutral. Right now, this is about a 10 pip loss or 10 pips against me. Hear lots of kids laughing right now. I love that sound. What do you want to look at there, Emmanuel? Oh, I want to take a look at the Japanese yen Swiss franc. And that continues to consolidate and hold right now really well. It looks like it's actually resuming out, but we're seeing that overall yen weakness across the board. All right, that still looks very, very, very bullish, in my opinion. Mark, dollar's obviously at a very critical area right now. We don't know if the dollar is up or down. All we know is that right now we saw some dollar weakness overnight, and she's coming back right now, and she's testing the break of this line of resistance. So whether or not this session, we're going to find out, I think, if this holds now a support, or if we start making lower lows here, then there's a good chance that we're back down into this pattern. So the dollar is at a nice point right now because it gives us clarity one way or the other. We're gonna have to watch this session and see what happens. But definitely, you have a weaker dollar bias going into the session today. Let's see what New York does with that. And definitely a weaker euro. Actually, U.S. dollar euro is completely mixed. It's basically unmoved on the day. Is that Rustin? What's going on now? All right. So indices down a little bit. I mean, they're down very little. I didn't hear any reports of any escalation or missiles. What did I hear? I read something on Twitter, but it wasn't even anything big. It was like it was like a sarcastic comment that like the indices are down this much on this. Um, but then I thought that Trump had mentioned in Davos that he was looking forward to building out and spending on infrastructure, and I thought the markets recovered on that. Maybe they recovered actually some of the losses, very little. S&P recovered about 7 points on that. Yeah, I think it's more. It's I'm more interested to see if on the open here after the futures being down overnight, Rustin. I'm looking for them to recover and go green. Let's see if that happens or not. That's usually what happens in bull markets, and we're in a bull market here on the equities, that's for sure. So I'm not exactly sure whatever that catalyst was for the futures being down so much, but I do believe that it was some. I thought it was something meaningless. Let's look at the U.S. dollar, Swiss franc, and see if the Swiss franc is actually resuming its downtrend here on the dollar. You could see actually not that it's well, it's just coming back down onto the support over here. Again, this is a dollar story here, nothing more, nothing out less. But I don't see any type of edge over here. What happens if this holds? If again, well, this is actually important for me to get into my brain over here. If the U.S. dollar holds this test of support today, this morning, and that would mean also here that we would be resuming upwards. A long term on a breakout over here of the US dollar to the upside over here, if we do hold this support and we come into this resistance and break above it, being long the US dollar Swiss franc doesn't look like a bad idea in that case because of the nice swap on that position, and because it looks like it possibly it could be bottoming out. But we get back into that channel, and she's going to break below this most recent support and should be going much lower. I see a lot of setups entering the market, but I don't see anything yet that I'm ready to really get involved in or pounce on. I was stopped out over here overnight at my 75.44 stop. Looks like we spiked below it and now are back above it. Um, Again, long term, this continues to look good, which is why I took a stab at it. This looks pretty bullish, um, but there's not much I could do about it. I don't see a possibility of taking a reentry over here. Actually, I prefer dollar pairs today so far. For example, the Australian dollar, US dollar. I like the spike below, taking out these stops, and if we start resuming above over here, above this, this small resistance above head, I prefer a long on the Australian dollar versus the US dollar, because that would mean if the dollar starts making new lows, then at that point it looks like we're going to see some further US dollar weakness. Um, it's got to prove itself today. That's the story for me, and I prefer trading US dollar pairs. It looks like so far today. Was this pair that I just looked at? Yep. This is the euro New Zealand dollar. This is like looks like it's coming into a nice area over here of resistance. Along with this, we haven't seen a price bar make a lower low in one, two, three, about six price bars. This looks good here to the downside if price makes a lower low with the resistance overhead. And I'm looking down at that support I have over there. This is pretty interesting. I like the looks of this. I'm going to come back to it. Also, at the same time, you can see that possibly with this set of also lower highs, that we might get above this resistance. But that's the thing. That's what's good about this trade. If we make a lower low and I get into the trade, I know where my stop is, right? And the risk to reward is pretty good on the trade. If we get above this resistance over here, because it's an important level, at that point, it opens up the possibility of taking a trade to the upside. So I like the euro New Zealand dollar here. It's offering opportunities at a critical level. So you got to respect that resistance until it fails. And if it fails, it opens up the top side as well. Good pair to be looking at here for me today. New Zealand dollar, Canadian dollar looks like she could be possibly bottoming over here. But again, you have, but I mean, hold this support holding over here. But you have, more importantly, again, the Bank of Canada meeting tomorrow. Obviously, I think after that and after the consolidation that we've seen taking place on the Canadian dollar, we're going to see a move. Um, and I think that move is going to be ignited tomorrow. So if the Canadian dollar starts appreciating and we break down over here just as well below the support over here, well then for sure I like maybe attacking this to the downside with the Canadian dollar. Prince Fabian, which pair are you looking at? Because I just a couple of pairs look interesting to me. Australian dollar and New Zealand dollar. So I see the New Zealand dollar kind of at a critical place with both the Canadian dollar and Australian dollar. Again, long term, this looks to be bottoming to me, but you got to get above this resistance over here to get me excited about, looking to the upside. I'm not trying to catch any type of bottoms or pick any bottoms or anything like that. So I want to see us clear above this resistance over here to start looking to the upside. Um, and I just want to draw in this important resistance at the same time. You see that support over there, and then that's held as resistance. So we got a blue. This should be higher then. We have about a few minutes to the U.S. equities open. Oh, what's this? The Australian dollar, Swiss franc? No. This is the Euro Australian dollar. This looks like the euro is back above. This was a resistance a moment ago. Is now support. Uh, this also looks pretty solid over here. Uh, I see the break above support, come back down, testing it, and now we're still above it. Still very sideways for me, but there's a big range to the resistance up here. This looks interesting. MHB, good to see you. Prince Frog, I let people know where my stops are in trades I take over here, and I manage them as they develop. Let them know when I'm moving my stop loss or taking profits, but I don't do that. I don't give you know, upon entering a trade a stop loss and take profit like that in here. All right, here we go now on the U.S. equity open. I want to see if the dollar reacts off of it really quick. Just let me drop down over here. I just want to drop down actually and even take a 30-minute view as we're along this resistance line, support line over here. All right, I'll be watching that closely this morning. I want to drop in and take a look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin is holding above this area right now of support and continues to look pretty healthy. Pretty, I think it got a little. Again, I expect a slow rise into the for the next 4 months now until May 13th. Uh, I think it's May 13th, the halving date, but around there, I expect us to be trading at 11,400. I don't expect any type of large volatility, so I'm trading that accordingly. And because I think we're about right over here, and I just expect a slow rise into it. Is there a possibility that like we get above it? Yeah, you know, that could be off by $1,000 or two in either direction, but I have a good feeling about that's where it's going to be. It's when we get into this blue area over here, and volatility starts increasing, then I'm going to become active and looking really to be active in trading Bitcoin. Right now, it's more in a consolidation period, a reaccumulation period over here in a narrow range. So it's not really ideal for trading, but I'm beginning to watch it more closely now because it's going to be here sooner than you think, and I really want to be again well in the flow of Bitcoin as that develops, because there's going to be a lot of opportunities over the next 18 months once we get another about 4 months away for trading Bitcoin. Yeah, Carver, let's definitely take a look at the euro Swiss franc. So I know the euro's strong this morning. I'm expecting it's making some gains over here. So I think here on the euro Swiss franc, uh, I'm more interested in two things. This upper resistance line over here, if price doesn't, and this resistance line over here, if price were to make it into this resistance line over here, I think that's a gift as far as looking for some type of sale, as well as this upper trend line over here. If price comes into it, leans over here at some point. Over here, would I be buying? No, I'm not buying off of this. This is a strong downtrend over here, and price is trading at its lows. So I'm not looking to pick any type of bottoms against the trend like that. You have the euro relatively strong today. It's making a little bit of gains, but you can see that price is still pretty much suppressed. So this is a matter of waiting and getting into the next resistance, whether it's trendline resistance or there's horizontal resistance, to look to be able to sell. Rustin, again, here you go. U.S. equities are open, and now they're turning green, or it looks like they're on the verge of turning green. I believe the catalyst was Trump's statement about he's looking to build out the infrastructure in the coming years. And for that's what we've been talking about here. We've mentioned that several times, that we believe if he gets reelected, that's what he's going to do, and that should weaken the dollar. But I think I'm not sure what it was. The sell off overnight, did read something, and it was kind of like nonsense. But this is very, very characteristic of a bull market. You'll see futures down, and you'll see price shake it off. So look for that. I saw this is Paul Tudor Jones, and I highly respect Paul Tudor Jones, and I like when he says something. I like to listen to it. Um, he was in December of 2018 as the Fed hiked rates. I remember him saying, listen, this rate hike is going to force them to have to lower rates next. It was a mistake. This is exactly what happened. The Fed went on to lower rates 3 times thereafter. This is why it was when Paul Tudor Jones said, when the Fed hiked rates in December of 2018, that's why I went long Bitcoin. That's why I went long Bitcoin when Bitcoin was trading at around 3,000, 4,000 in January when I said it, because I knew if the Fed was going to be lowering rates, that was going to help. That was done over here. That was going to be supportive of Bitcoin. Um, and he's basically went on. He's saying that this is my point here, Rustin. This reminds me of early 1999. Now remember, the dot-com bubble popped in early 2000. So he has us at early 1999. The Fed is super accommodative right now. Rates are low. Everything's getting crazy, but that craziness could go on for a long time. And a year is a really long time. And, you know, who knows what's going to happen? That's why we're here to figure it out. But you have to have the base case that the status quo is going to continue to after the election. That, and then after the election, things could get bad really quick. Of course, that could happen as soon as the Fed starts pulling liquidity, but they're not doing that yet. Let's check in on oil also. We didn't take a look at oil this morning. Where is she? I don't see it. Well, that's weird. Well, we'll come back to it when I see it. There we are. All right, we've come off this resistance pretty hard. Hold on. And back down with another successful test of this support over here so far. So we're range bound right now. This is, again, you've seen this pattern recently on the British pound, Japanese yen. You see the big blow off top and then a violent reaction down and then price consolidate. And you're seeing that also happen on gold and also on oil. All right, the big move up, then down, and then price consolidating. So I think that's where we're at right now on oil. I think she's just going to be also neutral for a while and consolidating. What happens over here on gold if we get down, if we start resuming off this support over here and the US dollar looks like it's holding right now. If the dollar goes back into this pattern over here and gold holds the support, then it's possible looking at alongside dollar trade. If the dollar breaks out over here and we get below the support on gold, I think that you want to be looking for much further downside on gold. So again, back to it being today a big dollar story. Yeah, absolutely, 100%. And anyone wants to look at anything at this point, let's do it. Let's take a look across the board. Why I see a set of waves coming in, and that's an important part. I don't see any setups that I want to jump on today personally yet. So I'm gonna let this develop a little further and wait. All right. Um, what else is there to look at? Let me take a look at the other cryptocurrencies as well, because once the crypto market starts waking up, it's really going to wake up across the board. All right, that time's not yet, but it's coming, and we're going to be prepared for it. All right, we're just getting started here. Rustin, the indices are now backing off a little bit. I'm aware of that this morning. I want to see what happens to them. Watching it closely. I saw what's going on with Tesla. Wow, look at that gap on Tesla. Tesla is something that really, I guess, divides people pretty strongly and emotionally. Um, I'm watching Tesla like a like a predator cat. And before this is all through, there there's there's the chance that I short this, and if and when I do, I'll definitely let all of you know. Um, and there's it has to just work out the right timing for me. Uh, and there's a chance that it gets away from me. I never get the opportunity, but I am going to be watching it and looking to short it. In the end, you know, why I think Tesla cars are cool and I love the Cybertruck is really cool. I think the company is I think the company's a fraud. So we'll see. We'll see how that story plays out. So again, this is the thing to watch this session for me today. What happens here? Does this support now hold? And do we resume off it? Does price start making higher highs? If that's the case and I get any inkling that's happening, I'm not going to wait now for the break above here. On the breakout, this was my resistance, right? I need to get above it. And we still need to get above this, and we still need to get above it and to see it tested as uh, support and then resume upwards. But at the same time, if that's happening down here and we hold this trend line, which was resistance, now is support, and then turn to the upside, well, it gives a better entry. It gives a better entry for getting short. What would that look like? On which pair? Well, I'm not exactly sure yet. The Euro US dollar, we got to get, I know that we got to get really below this important level here down at 1.1064. And if we do, uh, definitely pretty bearish on that. Definitely into this support down here. And so I wouldn't take a preemptive trade before that break. US dollar, Japanese yen, again, this trend line is very important. So watching over there, that might be a nice play. What about, see, the Australian dollar's got a lot of work still to do for me. We got to get below this area over here. That's where you see that arrow, before I would even consider getting short that. So I'm just kind of trying to look into the future and see what is developing if the dollar does hold this uh, support over here and start breaking out to the upside of where I want to get involved. Traders are absolutely completely mixed right now what they see as far as uh, near term and intermediately term for the US dollar. Uh, no one no one has that crystal ball, and everyone is really unsure. So all we could do is we could rely on the charts and wait and see. I think long term, everyone is pretty much bearish the dollar, but the thing is what's going to happen. Timing is everything. What's going to happen in the near term is more important than the long term. Yeah, and in Tesla too, it would be a good thing for the world if I was proven wrong. It would be a good thing for the world. They got to make those chargers, coming from renewable energy as well. All those Tesla chargers they have everywhere, those got to come from renewable energy as well. But you know, I'm not sure if this news was they're opening a new plant in Germany, um, or whatever it was. But I'm just looking at price going parabolic, and you know, again, Paul Tudor Jones is saying this is just looks like early 1999, but it's hard to time everything. Nothing is the same. It's not, as price goes parabolic, it could go higher and higher and higher. But when it finally comes back down, it's going to come back down. It's not just Tesla, but Tesla is now overvalued than all the other car companies put together. So it doesn't really make sense unless Tesla, you know, winds up its autopilot software winds up being, leased out to Uber and everyone else and every other car company, which could happen. DXY. So on the upside over here, also pretty big resistance developing now, also right here and here. Right, nothing's ever easy, but we're in an area where we really need to be watching what's going on, because when you're talking about breakouts, you know, if we're breaking out here, price tends to go for it. I want to change the color here. Good summary. Thanks, Blair. That was Russell, exactly what you were saying. I also saw that President Z, or Premier Z, said that any officials in China found up covering this up will be nailed to the tree of shame. So that was kind of good and positive to hear. At least publicly, that they're looking to it. They're concerned and they're looking to tackle this head on. It's a good sign. Yeah, I mean, right. For Tesla to be successful, they need to not only turn a profit, they need to make their business model sustainable, and need to make their business profitable. We haven't seen a chart of that in a couple of weeks. Let's take a look. The thing is I am a little bit more familiar with Tesla's business model, and I'm not with Beyond Me. I don't even, are they profitable? Because they're in a lot of groceries, right? They're all over the place. Is Beyond Meat profitable? I don't want to trade against a company that's making profits, that's for sure. And I can't even remember the last time I took a short position on an equity. Seriously, sincerely must have been probably about probably somewhere between 2005 and 2008, and I actually did see I saw the euphoria, and uh I saw the coming collapse of the real estate market, but not really. And I remember I got into a lot of discussions with real estate investors, and mostly friends and family who were real estate investors. But my timing was off by 3 years. It was in 2005 that I saw things were out of whack and crazy. And again, you have to be right on your timing. I didn't place any type of bets against it, but obviously, I timing is everything in the markets, and that's why I'm waiting, and waiting here, because this thing could go so much higher. Peep back in here. So concerned here. What happens at this important juncture? Mark, to get 8-hour charts on TradingView, first of all, you just need to upgrade to the pro account. And then you go down over here where it has the different time frames, and you add in 8, and then hour, and then add. So it's very simple to do, but in order to do it, you do need to have their pro charts. And then you click to the intervals, you go down to the bottom, and you select the time frame you want, and then you add. For example, you were at 8, and then hours, and then just click add. and that's all. Very easy to do. And here we are. So, just to give a quick summary of what I see going on right now, I do see a wave coming into the markets. A wave meaning I see setups coming, but I'm still out there on my board waiting. I don't see anything that I want to attack yet. Um, Definitely the dollar here is shaping up where it looks like we have broken trend line broken trend line resistance coming into the near resistance and now testing it as support. We need to see if this is a successful test and price resumes upwards over here, or if we come back down into this pattern over here. So we're just at an important part. So far during New York over the last hour, the dollar is holding. You're seeing the euro coming off during that time frame. Um, but we got to work to do, even more work to do here on the upside. Let's go down and look at it. You can see we have over here this area of resistance now. After this broke, this is now resistance above. So we're going to see what happens. We're caught in this area over here, and I don't know when we're going to see the breakout. Also on the calendar, we have it's on Thursday. We have the ECB press conference, and then we have big data on Friday. So there's a lot going on this week. The calendar's heavy, and price could be, until we get this big news out of the way, there's a chance price just consolidates and is neutral. That's why you want to learn to be waiting and wait for when the market actually moves to be there to grab it and take advantage of it. For me, that's not today, and that's not right now. All right. So anyone, what is anyone looking at anything that I'm not? Because then I want to get involved and I want to be looking at it myself. And also at the same time, here on the 30-minute, you could see as the euro broke back above here. Right now, it's testing what looks like possible support over here as well. Um, I definitely want to get a look at it, as well as anything on anyone's mind they want to look into. Uh, Same here. We have here the British pound, Canadian dollar. This is trading at a resistance over here. Again, this could be interesting tomorrow. If this resistance holds, and price starts making lower lows over here, this looks pretty good. I want to keep following it. Um, I know that tomorrow, though, you have the rate decision out of Canada. Uh, Getting above this line, also above this resistance over here, opens up some possible move to the upside. Although it's a little fuzzy for me. Now that the Australian dollar Japanese yen has stopped me out and come back above the broken resistance, it looks like it could now be holding at support, resuming up off of this. I don't normally like to get involved in trades after if I took a loss on them, but it does continue to look good. So it's a question of just letting and waiting for things to develop, and things become clear all of a sudden. That's when you jump in and take advantage. DJ Martin, 1 second, please. DJ, just really heads up. I mean, great play, obviously to the downside, and then I obviously you're looking at the 200-day. You're noting to us, which thank you for noting whatever you're looking at. If you're not posting a chart, but and then you have that support also, and then the series of higher lows. So good entry. Very looks good over there. Good place to take a long. Martine, there's a link. There should be a link, and if there's not, I'll make sure I get one into the description here below. Okay, I'll do that right away. By the way, I did sign up for this yesterday. This is Webull. It's an app like Robinhood that they have a lot of venture funding. So they're giving away stocks for sign up. So signed up yesterday. That's just opening up an account and they give you a free stock. They gave me like a biotech stock worth $5. But if you then deposit any amount of money, you receive a second stock. So if anyone wants to sign up, it's only good for certain countries though. It's not open to the whole world yet. But if you sign up, just for signing up, they give you a free stock. You just deposit any amount of money up until some point in February for the next 30 days. They'll give you a second free stock. So I'm only mentioning that because I was looking here for that link for Martine. But let me just post it right now, Martine. You can take a look at just JCL Capital, jcl.capital. And the mentorship is ongoing. I'm going to do a video about that this coming week. That's going to open up on February the 1st, Martine. That's when the course will be live. We have time right now. So this is all inclusive here. This is this course, which will go live February the 1st. This course is everything and everything that we do in here will be exactly the same. Nothing will change whatsoever. Our live streams that we do together. This is for anyone who's looking to get a little bit more, a little more mentorship, to understand a little bit more specifics about when to take trades, where to place your stop losses, what size your trade should be, where to take profits, where to move your stops. If they're looking for a rule-based strategy with a lot of specifics, then this is for them, as well as using the automated expert advisors I do use for trading myself. This course is all inclusive. This comes along with the mentoring, and it includes also the signals. Up until the course is launched, it'll be $50 a month. In other words, you're locked into that price of $50 a month. That includes everything from the course, the signals, and the mentoring. After that, on the launch date, February 1st, it'll be $75 a month, and then shortly thereafter, it'll be where it should be at $100 a month, and then that will remain until all the spots are closed, and then whoever's involved will stay involved. Or at that point, the signals will no longer be available, and the course will be sold, you know, separately or something like that. The course, no, the Martine, the course is something you could do in your own time. It's something that everyone could do at their own pace and time. It's not a webinar. Puneet, welcome. Glad you're stopping in here. Right now, we're to the point. Silver's down hard today, but coming into this area of support. Um, and again, precious metals, and I saw palladium was down over 3% today. So the precious metals are getting whacked all around today. For me, it's definitely and continues will be a dollar story. Shifa, welcome. First time I've seen you here with us. If you're not already subscribed, go ahead and subscribe to here. What we do is we start live streaming every day at 9 o'clock Eastern time in the morning. The beginning of our session, we really take a look at the market, see what's going on. So if you haven't caught that already this morning, guys, just go back and push this back over here to the beginning. You'd be better off watching the live stream and the beginning of the live stream this morning, and then coming back in here and jumping in with us. Australian dollar holding up well so far this morning during New York, as we've seen a little bit of dollar strength creep back. I am looking and waiting to see if we get a break above this local resistance right here. And if we do, it looks attractive. Got some numbers tomorrow evening out of Australia. Looks like a low bar was set. Looks like the US indices are almost back to unchanged. Again, bull market climbing a wall of worry. That's what they do. Hmm. Rustin, I didn't see that. Yeah, I did see that on the chart. I didn't see your comment on the Canadian dollar, Japanese yen. You like the fact that it's consolidating nicely over here and above the support over here. And I also like to the upside above the support that it's at right now. It looks like this thing could move and keep going. So you do have the Bank of Canada tomorrow with their rate decision. It does look good, but for whatever reason, right now I'm more attracted to the U.S. dollar pairs than the Japanese yen pairs, and I believe personally that's because of the critical level that the dollar is at, and it's going to be providing some moves one way or the other. I do, however, I want to continue watching the U.S. dollar, Japanese yen, not playing this to the downside. If you're playing against the yen, then I would go with either the Canadian dollar or the Australian dollar, or even the New Zealand dollar, or even definitely the Swiss franc. But if we break above here to the upside on over this trend line, a 5-year trend line being broke becomes attractive for me. Chris, what's going on? I think that this trend can continue over here. Uh, what this consolidation and then breakout of this and this new leg up is definitely very bullish. I don't see the Japanese yen strengthening right now. And I think the reason that the Swiss franc is strengthening versus the Japanese yen, I think that uh, it's simply because Switzerland's house is in a lot better order than Japan's. They have a large account surplus, and I think the currency is appreciating off of it. Let's have that in there for future reference. We have resistance or support here on Canadian dollar. Monthly resistance near the top. You get below this resistance over here, this support over here. Chris, I buy that for sure. Careful tomorrow. Again, Bank of Canada rate decision. Although they're expected to be on hold, it's more important of what type of any guidance the bank gives. Trading's a lot of waiting too. Right now, definitely this looks to be a place where we're just watching the horizon. We see the wave coming in, just waiting for it to break. That's the markets, right? We always got people on either side of them. Is this the quiet before the storm right now? Might be. Looking forward, always be looking forward. This is a week to just be aware of the calendar again. We have rate statement, Bank of Canada, more importantly, press conference. Over here, you have the ECB, again, also rate statement and press conference. And then, really, the important piece of the week, I think, for the euro is all the PMI data coming out. I feel like I'm asleep right now. I feel like the markets are asleep, and although I'm interested to seeing how this session plays out, right now, obviously, price is really not moving. There's not much to add to the conversation. Nevertheless, you never know when that's going to pick up or change. I'm really interested to see today during New York if we do take another look at the lows over here and start making lower lows back inside this trend line. Where do we close today? Otherwise, what I'm really going to be focusing on is overnight. Do we make higher highs? Does this support hold? And do we come up out of this? I know that there's a lot on the calendar ahead. So maybe the market is not going to make its move and is going to be figuring it out for the next few days. I'm not sure. All we could do is wait and watch. Right now, You had that big sharp move on the pound overnight. Uh, Aside from that, you're not really seeing much happen. Silver coming off big time. Yeah, good call, guys. Where are you guys seeing it? Verse. She's come off hard since this is just in the last hour, right? Hour and a half, hour and 19 minutes. I like this area of support down over here. I like it because it's something to lean into where you could set the stop. You set the stop below actually London's low. If you do get into the trade, it'll be below this trendline support and below that last low right there. If price were to resume upwards over here, where right now you got a bit of a resistance level right here, a support level rather. So if price does come off this little area over here with this support below and start making higher highs, even on a short time frame like this, after this really sharp sell off, I'd be inclined to buy that. You know that if we get below, if you if you get below London's low over here, which would be outside this trend line over here, that low is coming in 121.84. Then I would be looking for a short over there into this pocket over here. This area of support down here, down all the way down at 83.80, looks pretty good and pretty strong. So you're pretty far away from there right now, about 33 pips away. And then followed right by Friday too. Big news also out of here on Friday with all the PMIs. Just saw that there was 5 new cases reported out of China, and I was wondering if there was any reaction off of that as well, but I'm not really sure what's happening on the U.S. dollar, Japanese yen. I'm just taking a bigger, take a step back over here, and you're seeing this morning across the board over the last hour. some yen strength coming into the market, bringing us back towards this support over here. You can see this resistance broken out. We were tested once so far as support, but this area over here is definitely support. But just stepping back even further, we got this really long trend line. This goes back 5 years. So a break above at this point, I would definitely be looking at getting long here. That would mean the dollar is also breaking out of this breaking out over here of this bull flag. So there could be some big moves involved over there. But the next thing to look at over here would be what happens, either break above this trend line or look and watch how this broken resistance now support holds. A resumption off of it, you could get kind of a preemptive trade back into this trend line, or a breakdown below. The next support is down all the way down at 108.90. But you're seeing yen strength coming in over the last hour across the board. I don't know whether it's going to hold or not. I will not day trade. But I'm looking over here on the euro Japanese yen as we're getting so close to an important area. You have this trend line over here. We came down and touched it during the London session on the euro Japanese yen, and a break below that trend line, and then London's low. I think that opens up the short side for some continued selling. But right now, you're trading back into an area of support. And if this holds and resumes offward, I think it's a good place to be looking for a possible long entry. All right, man. Were you short gold today? Silver is getting really punished. Oh, or did you took a long here on gold, looking for the bottom, looking for the support. Now, I see the DXY, since taking a look at this trend line and so far holding. This was during the pre-market New York, and now coming back in, and now we have some overhead resistance that it's trading into right now. All right, so let's see how this acts right now. So I'm wondering if that yen strength came in. The people in Davos were saying they were doubtful across the wires about the time this happened that China and the U.S. would be able to implement the phase one trade deal by the end of next year. I'm sorry, that they will reach the phase two trade deal. And of course, that's our case also. There's no way if Trump's reelected, he's looking for a phase two China deal. He's looking to really come down and crack down hard, really hard. He just obviously needs to be reelected, which is why the whole phase one deal exists in the first place. He needed a truce. He needed the markets to be up so that he could get reelected, and then he will start negotiating really, really, really tough with China. Euro US dollar is mixed today. It's come off over the last hour. Again, this is a US dollar story. Martin, beware of the calendar because there's a lot going on this week, euro related. You have the ECB rate decision, which will be on hold, but more importantly, the press conference, followed by the next day, you have PMI numbers out of the EU. You have France out of France. You have services PMI, followed by 15 minutes later out of Germany, and also manufacturing. Noticing here, though, I want to bring in your attention into this neckline over here on the euro. Because so far, if you looked at what's happening, and this would be if this is a head and shoulders pattern right here, with the left neck, the head, and then the right shoulder. Sorry, left shoulder, head, and right shoulder, and then this is the neckline. And price broke through. Prices so far come up and tested that broken neckline, and so far it's holding as resistance as resumed down. But more importantly, are these horizontal supports, and you need to get below this area right here. You need to get really below 1.1064 for us to confirm that the euro is really going to be falling down at least until the next support, if not lower. Uh, but there is a lot of um, data that's really going to affect this pair this week. So we will see what happens before the data comes out. The DXY just now is getting into the next area of resistance. Yeah, I appreciate that, Chris. Yeah, I appreciate everyone goes there and hits that like button, and only do it if you really sincerely believe it, right? Only do it if you believe that this channel is offering some type of benefit that others could benefit also from. It really it really helps the Google algorithm know that people are interacting and like the content, and you know, appreciate that for very much. Do we have sound now? This test. I want to make sure that we have some sound. Okay, perfect. You have to trade what has happened technically, even though you have data out of heavy data out of the EU this week. If we break down below this support over here ahead of time, you got to take the trades accordingly. Yeah. So good question. You got wrecked, and so right now this is for me personally a very precarious place because, and here's why. Really want to explain to you what's going on in my mind right now. Generally speaking, we're about right here where my mouse is right now. We're about 5 months away from the halving. Well, there's some good charts I could bring up. I think I have it here in 1 second for you. And so, generally speaking, I expect us to be sideways, slightly tilted up. Although we have over the past week, we've risen $2,000. So we came up pretty hot and fast, a little faster, a little higher than expected. If anyone uses the stock to flow model, price is actually exactly where it was predicted it would be. So it's right where price where it should be. I don't see much volatility happening on Bitcoin over these next 4 or 5 months. And then slightly thereafter, you could see that this is the halving. You got wrecked. This is like, somewhere around the first week or second week of May. I don't have the date right now because it's not really that important. But you could see after the halvening, also price remains, pretty sideways for a short time afterwards, or even over here sideways to slightly down. Sold off really quick, really quick. But if you go 3 months or out, it's pretty much sideways. And then thereafter is when things start getting really crazy. So this is a reaccumulation phase, meaning this is where you could be averaging into Bitcoin. And I think that's the best way to approach the next 4, 5, 6 months is look to dollar cost averaging to Bitcoin so much as trading it. Um, because I don't think you have to have any type of fear of missing out. Okay, meaning that price is going to get away from you because again, I expect we're at 11,400. Right? Of course, we could be $1,000 or $2,000 above or below that, but in that area. All right. Um, there's one more chart if I could pull it up really quick that I would like to share with you. So let me just do a quick scan over here to see if I have it, which I don't think I do. And I will find it for you and show it to you in tomorrow's session. Really interesting. And basically, that it shows the price in colors. On the right side of the graph would be over here. It'll show you how long to the next halving. So starting over here will be 48 months and counts down all the way to 1 month. And this starts in, the color is red. It goes down to orange and then yellow and then maybe green, blue, like that. And you can see how the price moves. And it's not until you get to after the halving, right? In the first, 180 days after the halving that all this happens. So I hope that's helpful. And over here, why I'd say it's tough because like you want to follow a system black and white, but and if you do and you take every crossover right here, stepping back, you're doing the right thing. But I also know that we're entering this period where we have pretty much low volatility sideways price action. So there's no need to have any type of fear of missing out right now. Your Japanese yen coming down and testing right now this important area. I'm not taking a trade here at all. The only trade I would take, I'm not taking it. The only trade I would take over here would be if this holds and price starts turning upwards. So you got wrecked, everyone. This is not the chart that I wanted to show you. Okay, this is not the chart that I wanted to show you. This is difficulty adjustments. The reason I thought it might be is because of this legend over here, but it's not. So sorry for that. All right, this is a good look. This is not using months. This is using days until the next halving. For example, right now we're in this blue area, right around where my mouse is right now. You can see the blue on the chart. So look at the past blues on the chart, right? So after the halving in this area over here and up and through basically where the mania ends is right about here, somewhere in this area over here. The first, call it, 4 to 600 days after the halving, this is when you see the rise of price dramatically. And this is a great guide to use for timing the cycles of Bitcoin. But right now you're in this area of blue, which is just right now a slow rise. And even the first area over here is also sideways price action. You got it. I mean, that's what it's all about, right? Gold is at an interesting intraday level right over here. So Mac, I'm not taking any trades today. I'm watching the market. The best analogy I could give you, if it works for you, is a surfer waiting for the next set of waves to come in, and we're watching them. Meaning, I'm aware of the market and the structure of the market, and what's happening and what's developing, primarily here on the U.S. dollar index, which translates into every other pair that we're following. But right now, is like I'm on a surfboard and I see the set of waves coming in. And when setups come in, they really do come up set up in waves. Then you have to pick the best one, the clearest one that you want to take advantage of. But right now is not the point to be taking a trade, zero at all. So I'm waiting and watching what develops. I'm aware of the calendar. For example, tomorrow, Bank of Canada rate statement and press conference, big deal. Um, more important, not more importantly, but also Thursday out of the EU, the ECB press conference, rate statement, and then some big numbers coming out of the EU on Friday. So I'm just watching what's taking place and waiting for something really to look good to jump on, but that's not happening right now. Just doing the rounds over here. If the Australian dollar US dollar is able to get above this resistance over here, that might look like a good place to get long, especially after you could see it. Forget about these wicks over here. You could see the support over here has held where my mouse is right now. And more importantly, you could see how these stops, people, traders would place their stops just at the low of these wicks. They were just taking out during London. So if price reverses up now and takes out this resistance, that's a very bullish signal. That would mean then probably and most likely that the DXY is holding. Well, the Australian dollar is really tied, right, to the Chinese economy. What about the how do you say it, the coronavirus scare? You know, the timing on that's not so easy. That's probably why you might be seeing a little bit of the Japanese yen strength this morning. Um, Eventually, I think it's going to blow over. Does it get worse from where it is today before that happens? Maybe. You know. Alternatively, again, we get another look down over here. That also looks like a good area. So things are not there yet. Euro US dollars put in a good day today. If it gets back, climbs it back above this area over here, the highs of London, it looks pretty good long. That also means that the DXY has fallen back down to make new lows and is in this channel over here. Alternatively, you really need to watch this area of support. We break below 1.164. I think we're going much lower on the euro. First stop will be coming down all the way here to test the support. Yeah, good analogy. Good analogy. That's a really good analogy, actually. The sniper is waiting for his target to come to him. I do like the surfing analogy because when you get waves come in sets and trades setups come in sets, because when you have one setup, you have setups on multiple pairs, but you want to pick that one wave and you want to pick that setup, right? You want to pick the best setup. You want to pick the best wave. So is that support holding on the euro Japanese yen? Those are some big numbers. So the thing that worries me about both of these, Tesla and Beyond Meat, is that going back to, this looking similar to the beginning of 1999, you know, things could get a lot. Markets. It was Alan Greenspan who said markets can remain. What did he say? Irrational longer than traders can remain solvent, meaning this company could one day be a bust. I'm not saying it's going to zero or anything like that. It could one day be a bust, and you could short it over here, but who knows where this thing is going to top out, and you could lose your whole account in the meantime, or a big portion of it. So timing is everything. Netflix also. I don't really necessarily think Netflix is going to win the streaming wars, but I don't really see people canceling their Netflix subscriptions either. But this is largely priced into a growth story, and I don't know how much growth there is left also for Netflix. So this also up here in this area might be one beautiful place to begin stalking Netflix for a short. Yep. That's where before the end of the year, though, I won't be surprised if I do open a position on Tesla. We'll see. And I am worried also about the markets really crashing. I'm worried about the markets crashing sometime probably after the election, or sometime in the next couple of years. Uh, but I think long term, I really like Square. But looking at the near term, you know, um, gold, Bitcoin, and I think short Japanese yen, although I think it's way too early for that. I mean, that's a good question. I know that Disney has launched their streaming service. A lot of companies have also launched streaming services. They all compete with Netflix. They pulled their content from Netflix, and Netflix is really upping their budget to produce their own content. But I don't see people canceling their Netflix subscriptions, but I do see them taking out other subscriptions. Um, Instagram was the new Facebook, and I think that TikTok is the new Instagram. The Euro Japanese yen has been very volatile today, meaning during Asia it traded down all the way into the support, and then during London, you see this bar over here came up, started making new highs, and then New York has strongly taking it down back into that support. So this is the line that's in play right here. You have the low of the London session, which is coming in at 121.84, and along this trend line over here. Um, this is an area to watch, right? Right now, because we came back down and looked at that support, if you start seeing price reverse off of it, I think you and this holds, London low holds and price reserve reverses upwards. It's an area to take a look at along for sure. Um, as well as if you break London's low, watch out below, because watch out below because the next support is not all the way down to here, to 121.37. But all that being said, I'm just really watching it. I'm not interested in trading it. I'm interested to seeing here if this holds during this session and price reverses upwards, but I'm not interested in trading it. It's not the time for me to be placing a trade. So Ray Dalio is over in Davos saying that basically that investors should really look at investing in gold instead of holding cash. And the reason I bring that up is Warren Buffett is holding $128 billion in cash right now. Obviously, he's waiting to be outside of this period of exuberance. He does know that when a crash comes and having a lot of cash, he'll be able to scoop in and buy up things on his terms. And he's right about that. But Ray is also really right about this, is Warren Buffett would be a lot better served over these past 6 months and going forward had he been holding gold. uh, Warren will be crushing it. And then, gold is highly liquid. He could get into cash at any time really quick regardless. So gold came right up into that resistance we just talked about, and then now back down is back down to a support. Though you can see a near term local support if you take my mouse around horizontally, and probably that's where we'll wind up bouncing between now the rest of this session, unless the dollar takes off over here. Then gold could obviously continue to sell off. But do I see the dollar making this move today during this session? I don't think so. No, no, Chris, y- I agree. I mean, even more so, obviously I see the sharp move up, prices sharp move down, and then I see us consolidating, right? I think that's what you're saying. Just looking at it from afar, because I'm only looking at this from afar right now, and I just see this consolidating right now, and we have to wait for something to develop to give us a better look. So the weekly pin bar, let me take a look at it. Let me take a look down at the month and then the weekly. I mean, why we do consolidate, and right now I'm looking for that consolidation. And as long as it's above this support area over here, that looks really healthy. And the longer that we stay above there and hold it and do resume up, that's the chancer of us actually extending for another further leg upwards. But that's not to say that the dollar could also break out over here, and gold could trade up with the dollar these times, but also some strong dollar strength could send gold down back down. Uh, you know, I'm keeping this area over here because during the course of this year, there's still a possibility gold comes back down into that pocket. If it does, and if longer term, I definitely like gold down over there. Um, but right now, I don't see any clarity whatsoever, except that this is consolidating. Chris, I only shared because it was building off of yours, so I appreciate you. All right, traders, I think this is a good place to call it for a day. Price is pretty steady. Um, and over the next half hour, though, we could see some sharp moves. But it looks to me that everything is just holding in the range that it's holding. Anything changes in the session, I'll definitely let you know and update you through the Telegram link. Um, but as of right now, everything looks like it's just slow and steady. And be mindful of the week ahead, right? The market has a lot of data overhanging. It makes sense that it would kind of stall out and wait to see what happens. Nevertheless, if we do get a breakout over here, this is a big level. You gotta keep watching it, and take anything technically that happens first before the data if it leads. So hope you all have a great day, and I look forward to seeing you all and sharing more with you tomorrow.